Concept in physiology. This part of lectures I'm gonna explain into two parts. In first part, I'm gonna explain about endolymph, impairment ion in ICF, homeostasis. And the second part, I'm gonna discuss about the regulatory mechanisms of homeostasis. So let us start with the endolymph. What is endolymph? Endolymph is nothing but it is ECF. Extracellular fluid which resembles ICF. That means this endolymph is having properties similar to ICF in the body. It is having higher potassium concentrations. As we know that in the ECF we are having increasing sodium concentration. But this endolymph resembles like ICF, it is having highest potassium concentration. So what is endolymph? It is ECF, it resembles ICF and it is having potassium concentrations. Second one we are going to discuss about that is impairment ion ICF. So two types will be there. First type is proteins and second one will be phosphate. These are responsible for the relative ions in ICF. How it occurs? It occurs due to sodium leaking into the cells to maintain equilibrium. We'll having two types of ions. One is sodium ion, second one is potassium ion. They may leak from inside to cells or from cells to the outside to maintain equilibrium. Once it reaches to equilibrium, there is no transfer of these ions from one place to another place. Third and the foremost important things we are going to learn, that is about diffusions. We have already known about diffusion. So what is diffusion? Diffusion is nothing but it is the movement of a substance or ion from one place to another place with respect to concentration. That is, the place which is having higher concentration, so the ions will move from the place of higher concentration to the lower concentration till it reaches to equilibrium. Hence, when it reaches to equilibrium, the ion won't move from one place to another place. This thing required two properties. First property is like the electric gradient and second one is depend upon the concentration gradient. So let us get with an example. The first ion that is we are talking about, that is about sodium ion. The sodium ions moves into the cells due to concentration gradient and the electric gradient. So sodium is due to movement of the sodium ions due to concentration gradient and electric gradient. How it occurs? In ECF, you'll have higher concentration of sodium, that is 144, and in ICF we'll have sodium concentration, that is 14. So due to this concentration gradient, this sodium moves from ECF to ICF. This is due to concentration gradient properties. Due to this electric gradient, the sodium is having more higher charge in ECF than the ICF. So due to this electric gradient, the sodiums move from ECF to ICF. So the net movement is always from outside to inside, that is always diffusing. Second example we are gonna take, that is about potassium. This potassium moves inside to outside the cells, that is from ICF to ECFs, because ICF is having more concentration, that is 145, and ECF is having less concentration, that is 4, and it will move till it reaches to equilibrium. Moves outside to inside due to electric gradient. So movement of potassium occurs due only because of electric gradient, and movement of sodium occurs due to both concentration and electric gradient. This is one of the most important points you should remember for MCQ. They'll give options like A, B, C, both A and B, and none of the above. In that you have to select carefully like which one is that. Fourth one we are going to discuss in this topic, that is milieu interior, that is ECF. This is the internal environment of the body. This is required for maintaining the homeostasis. What is homeostasis? Homeostasis is nothing but it is the maintenance of body constancy. It may be any temperature, any physical process, and stability in milieu interior. Both the terms are coined by Collier Bernard and Walter Cannon. This is also one of the most important thing you will get in MCQ. These are single word definitions or single word answers which you can easily remember in the MCQ. What is the difference between equilibrium and the steady state conditions? So let us see. What is equilibrium? Equilibrium will have maximum, that is always will have, or most probably will have ionic equilibrium, that is due to with the potassium or with the sodium. In steady state conditions, you'll have blood glucose. Equilibrium involves two adjacent compartments. already we have seen that this compartment, it can have ICF and ECF compartment, but for the steady state condition, no necessary of such things. It involves two equal and opposite force, and for steady state conditions, not necessary. Equilibrium, the one of the most important things and easiest thing you can remember, that is about ATP. Equilibrium doesn't no need of ATP, but the steady state conditions in this ATP breakdowns. And equilibrium, this is short-lived, hence the movement of ion is temporary. It can move in and it can move out based on the concentrations of the substance which is given, but the steady state condition, this is always long-lived. So in this chapters, in these lessons, one of the most important things you have to remember, that is about the properties of diffusions and how the ions move from inside to outside the cells. The further MCQs of these chapters are discussed in the next lecture.